Hello and welcome. South Africa's legendary jazz music star Hugh Masekela has a new mission in life: to return Africa's music industry to Africans. The world-renowned trumpeter, vocalist and songwriter is setting up partnerships across the continent to create an African-owned entertainment network and record company. The industry, he says, has largely been in foreign hands until now. Masekela's music has always reflected his African roots, and he's used it to raise awareness about political and social injustices. But he first earned his worldwide fame after fleeing South Africa in 1960 due to the violence of apartheid. Success came in the United States and Europe and led to collaborations with stars such as Harry Belafonte, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis and Paul Simon, to name just a few. In 1990, after 30 years in exile, he was able to return home to South Africa, where he's now focused on developing local talent. Well, Hugh Masekela joins us now from Ohio here in the United States, but before we speak to him, let's listen to his remarkable sound. Wonderful sound of Hugh Masekela. He's joining us from Ohio. Hugh, great to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting me again.
Tell me what you're doing to try and get the music back into the community, especially there in South Africa.
Well, I'm not trying to get it into the community as much as I'm trying to be a part of initiatives to have Africans actually own the structures that they work in, whether it be in recording, television, broadcasting, manufacturing, anything that's entertainment related, events, management, publishing. It should really be owned by Africans, and they should work together, because until that happens, we'll never be able really to project ourselves. We're always projected from the perspective of those who have exploited us over the years.
And of course, South African music has been very popular globally for a long time, and it's been nearly two decades since apartheid fell. So I wonder why it's taken so long for it to become an African-owned industry.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't want to do a cliche, but Rome wasn't built in a day. And we are trying to dismantle an exploitation culture that has taken place over maybe 13, 14 centuries now, you know. Africa was first invaded by Arab and European settlers and traders in the 7th and 8th centuries. And since then, Africans really haven't owned Africa. And they have been relegated through religion and conquest into thinking that their heritage is savage, barbaric, backward, uncivilized, and all those things. And I think that until they can get that self-esteem back and be proud of the diverse heritage content that is all over Africa and its excellence, they'll never be able to project it. And to do that, we have to really own who we are.
You set up your own record label originally, Chisa, in 1960, but then at that time it was you making it very popular with the Americanization of Ooga Booga. And there's an actor who's now very famous, Danny Glover, who was on the show with me just recently. He said he first saw you in 1966 with and heard the Americanization of Ooga Booga. This is what he had to say.
He kept alive the spirit of liberation, the spirit of struggle for all those men and women who were in exile, fighting apartheid. And he was a spirit for those who were part of the movement who weren't South Africans. He was a song of liberation for us as well. He's an extraordinary musician, an extraordinary man, and I'm proud to say that he's a good friend of mine.
Of course, Danny Glover there, Hugh, and he's done very well in Hollywood. I wonder, you know, as you try and help the African industry, entertainment industry build, how much of a challenge it is when you look at, you know, how diverse Africa is as a continent, because I know you're trying to bring together other elements as well, not just South Africa.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not trying to do it single-handedly. Really, there's a lot of people who feel the same way as I do in Africa, and they already have structures. We already have partnerships and joint ventures with structures of young musicians and filmmakers and television producers and writers in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Angola, in Mozambique, in Zambia, in Kenya, in Uganda. And we're building those relationships. As I speak, our Ghanaian partners, I just spoke to the people at my office in Johannesburg, are there finalizing production and mutual distribution of their artists and ours in the different countries. And we're working together with them on a film and a play and other events, you know. So those people are actually more active than I am at it. I'm just sort of like a catalyst to say, let's try and do this. And people are like, yeah, why haven't we done it before? Because the talent is there all over. The film talent is there, the engineering talent is there, the writing talent, the singing talent, the acting talent. And it's just a matter of putting it into motion. As you know, in Nigeria, there's a very big film industry, but it's at a very minimal stage, in which we have to like raise the bars and get into epic films, because they've proved that they can do DVD and CD and video films. And in Ghana, that industry has been there for a long time. Kenya at one time was the place where films were done on location in Africa. South Africa has become a big film producing country, but it was always like white owned and was like mostly foreign controlled. So like we're moving into all these areas with different teams and developing projects, and it will take maybe after my lifetime for it to actually like kick in, but you have to start somewhere. But I think that within the next 5 years we'll see the beginnings of entertainment business network taking hold in Africa.
Well, now, Hugh, one thing is that when I travel, for example, to the Middle East, I'm amazed at how strong the influence of American hip-hop, rap, and that kind of music is there. I wonder how much the African music scene has been influenced in reverse, if you like, from the African-American music scene with hip-hop and rap and so on.
Yeah, it's been influenced very heavily, but there's always like I guess an African interpretation of it. But I think that is a passing phase, the same way that pop was, or rock and roll was, or R&B was. Although R&B, because it has classic songs that we can still sing along today, will always be there, you know, and jazz classics will be there. In the end, it won't be about the rap influence, it's about how sustainable rap is. And rap and hip-hop will prove their sustainability as we go on. But like, what I think is that we need alternatives, and the alternatives in what is like heritage-based. You know, Africa has a very glorious heritage. We've had like wonderful kingdoms. We have crazy dances and drumming and unbelievable song, and the diversity is really wide, and that has never been seen. And I think it is from there that if we present those things at a high level, they will have the same impact that Indian music has had on Indians, or Japanese films have had on Japanese, or Chinese culture has had on Chinese. And there's a way to mix that with modern life that will give it even better sustainability. We're not condemning anything, you know, we're just using everything we can to make sure that we have we have a profile of our own.
Although, Hugh, I wonder how you regard the sort of what they call the gangster culture that comes with a lot of the African-American music, you know, and that hip-hop culture too.
I have no time. I have no time for gangster culture. I mean, I was living in Harlem when rap started, you know, when Run DMC and like the Sugar Hill Gang and Bambata and all those people started. And at first it was a social consciousness, and to a certain extent, you know, like Public Enemy and Niggas with Attitude. It was mostly protest and social consciousness music, and it was hijacked. I don't know, but like what it actually has done is made like youth to shun progress, to shun education, to shun knowledge, and to get like golden and diamond teeth.
Well, let me ask you to respond to an email that we had that came in from
and falling pants.
Well, you know, we had an email that came in from Lorraine in London who said, Mr. Masekela has spent his life entertaining and educating about apartheid without violence or other dogma, and that's the way to do it. He is a lesson to the world, religions and politicians. Now, I wonder, when you look at South Africa, your home country, you know, this nearly 2 decades on from when apartheid fell, how you see the progress that the country has made. Has it gone the way you would have expected?
I didn't expect it to go any certain way. I think what I expected more is the hard work that would entail turning South Africa around. What people don't realize is that we came out of 350 years of colonial wars and were servants in the English-Dutch War of 1895 to 1905. And after that came like major racial oppression, and by 1948, apartheid kicked in. And throughout all those times, we were fighting, and of course, we were being deprived of our land and of like what we owned. And today we're a free country, but we own less than 2% of the economy. You know, that's, you know, the previously marginalized people. And we own less than 5% of the land. And never in the history of humanity has people ever come up and said, sorry that we made so much money off slavery off your backs, and here's $500 trillion to show you how sorry we are. That has never happened, and I don't expect it to happen in South Africa. The poor are poorer, and in politics, amnesia always kicks in, and this is an international malady. So many of the people who were at the forefront and the soapboxes of our liberation have been co-opted by the old establishment, and have become actually the Praetorian Guards of South African white and establishment businesses. And all the new businesses out of South Africa are white business, all over Africa and all over the world. So it's going to take us a long time, because Africans were not allowed to enterprise in South Africa until the late 1970s. And the damage that was done by not only all those wars over 350 years, but also apartheid, is not going to be remedied overnight. And the South African freedom, the public relations for it looks like the great ending of a movie, but actually the problems and the damages and the after effects will never, I think, be healed for the next few generations.
Let me put to you another email we got here. This came from Benny Tekel in Virginia here in the USA, Hugh, and the question says, or the comment in question is, the struggle against apartheid was an inspiration that informed much of your music, your muse, basically. Where do you draw your inspiration nowadays?
I still come from the same people. I still have the same history. I was viewed by the media as being an apartheid-oriented musician, but I've been a musician since I was 6. And I think that the progress of Africa, to me, is more important than what happened in Africa, in South Africa. In South Africa, I think, was just like a drop in the ocean. I think what's very more important for me is to see the African diaspora, which means all of Africa, and other African populations all over the world, get a common glue or a common gluing element, and that is only going to be through entertainment, through their own heritage, through like what they have as a people. And until some of the rulers of these countries, where they are Africans, I'm talking about people who don't want to give. Some people have been in power for 40 years in Africa, and those rulers see the countries they rule as their own fiefdoms. And one of the things that they're afraid of mostly is music and theater. And so you find that African governments don't promote the arts. You know, right. they're very allergic to the arts. So we're going to have to do it through entertainment and through business. And that's going to take a long time. But that, to me, is more important than... I think that I've had my career. I think what is important is this initiative that I'd like to see happen and leave some kind of, be part of an initiative that leaves a legacy for the future.
You know, Hugh, just a sort of final thought here. You went into a sort of 30-year exile because of the violence of apartheid, you know, from 1960 onwards, and returned to your home country. Now, I wonder, the acting legend Harry Belafonte, who was very big on bringing you, you know, giving you a start in the US as well, he actually said to you once, if you can stay in the US and become a name, you can do more for your country. Looking back on that advice, how true have you found that to be?
It has been more than true, but it's a debt that you never finish paying, you know. It doesn't stop at the end of apartheid. It has to go on, and it has to go on much more intensely now. And I think that the person who really was responsible for me coming to South Africa, to the States, was Miriam Makeba, who introduced me to Harry Belafonte. And together they sent me to school. But she sacrificed a major part of her success to help not only South Africa, but help the world understand what was happening in the whole of Africa. From 1963, she dedicated life to that. And I don't think that she is very happy at the results that she has achieved so far, because it's an ongoing struggle. It'll never stop, because the people that entrenched us and the conservatives that are not in favor of African progress don't sleep at night. They work very hard to make sure that there is never an independent economic Africa, or economically independent Africa. Those people work very hard, and we can't assume that because we are free in South Africa now, everything is hunky-dory, because we're not living in a movie.
Well, Hugh Masekela, thank you very much for being with us. Best of luck with all your endeavours. Let me remind you, our viewers, the new album is live at the Market Theatre. It's on sale now with a big history collection of Hugh Masekela's work. Don't forget, if you have any pressing thoughts about issues around the world you'd like us to cover, or people you'd like us to interview, send your emails to riz@aljazeera.net. We'll see you next time. Street Talk's coming up next.